Hi guys, it's Carlo here from the Pure Podcast. I have Linda Berlot, and we will be talking about a few things today regarding her life, what she does, and a few others, I'm sure. I'm going to start with a quick fire questions, which will be 10 questions, and she just has to answer them really quickly before we start introducing her. I like to do this because I find it quite fun, and I like the questions because everyone's got different answers. I've got a little bit of different questions compared to last time, but let's see what she answers. So, you've got 10 questions, Linda. You have to answer them in like 5 seconds, right?
Okay.
Not too much thought. So, your favourite food?
Pasta.
Your favourite Instagram person that you follow, or Facebook, or podcast you listen to? Any of them?
At the moment, Jason Momoa.
Is there a reason for that? I do have suspicions.
He's very inspirational.
So it is.
That's what it is. It has nothing to do with his size or long, luscious locks or
Nothing
anything like that.
That's cool. And then, favourite country?
Oh, that's a hard one. I am Italian, so I always feel very close to Italy. I love Africa. It's not a country, but and every country I visited, I always find something interesting about it.
Nice. And favourite song? It's a hard question.
I'm horrible at song names.
That is a hard one. The last guest I had, Glenn's a bit of a rock star, and he answered it like so quick. If someone asked that question,
I know. There's one song I can never hear it loud enough, and it's Love Bites.
What's that? Love Bites.
Led Zeppelin.
Well, it's funny, he was like into rock music as well, Glenn. So he said the same, not the same bands, but so if you had to pick a man, this is just an example. If he was, say, dark hair, dark features, or and medium height, so like let's say 2 inches taller, or tall, bigger built, and blonde, what would you like? So that's a hard question, right? Because it's a mix of both. Because most people would be like, oh, tall, dark, and handsome. But I want you to answer that.
I like a man who takes care of himself. So if he's built and he's medium, that would also be okay.
Built and medium, but he takes care of himself. So
yeah.
he stays fit, eats well, looks good normally. What I want to answer this question.
I don't limit myself. It's like a box of licorice all sorts. Why eat only one flavour?
Well, that's true. It's nice. It's global. Yeah, you can go for it. I want to answer this question in 10 seconds, right? No, less, 5. 7 times 13.
7, 14, 21, 91. Right?
I'm not sure. What's it?
No.
Yes, it is 91.
Is it 91?
Yes, it's 91. That was really quick, by the way. That was so quick. Well done.
7 times?
7 times 13. Yeah, 91. Okay, so next one is your favourite car. Obviously you could pick, I want you to pick one with no limit on money.
I don't really have a favourite car, but the other day, I love Ferrari, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yes, obviously.
But the other day I drove past a Rolls Royce, and it had a red base and a silver top, and it just
what kind of car was it?
A Rolls Royce.
Oh, was a Rolls Royce? Sorry, okay,
Yeah.
Rolls Royce, very nice. And then, if you have to be a professional at one sport, I have a guess what this will be. Professional at one sport, what would it be?
Sprinting.
But also you could pick dancing.
Or dancing, yeah.
That is a sport, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would thought you would have picked that as well, yeah. If you'd have thought of that as a sport, of a dancing. Cool, I thought that was all the questions done. And, okay, I've got one bonus question that I didn't answer. I missed this out by mistake. What's the strangest thing you've ever done? I asked this to Glenn, right? Remember, it's always within reason, right? If you've got anything on the top of your head, anything strange. He told me that he ate lamb testicles when he was in Africa. So is there anything like that you've ever done, or anything you can think of?
That's a really strange question, because it depends what your
concept of strange is.
Concept is strange. Maybe my strange is normal to me, but it's strange to you.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about food, I have eaten all of that kind of stuff. And I ate grasshoppers or crickets in Thailand, That's strange. What have I?
That is quite strange. That's
Yeah.
horrible. I would never do that. I just don't see the point. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a one off the bucket list. I'd be like jumping out of a plane, doing bungee jumps,
I've done
but
all
eating
of
a
that.
cricket. I'm just like,
Yeah.
nah, no thanks.
I've done all of those things. So jumped out of planes, run off mountains. I have not bungee jumped.
You've not bungee jumped.
No.
I don't think it'd be too good for your back, Linda.
And also, why would you?
Or why would you do that? Yeah. So no, good. I'm glad you got through the questions. So I want to go through the next set of questions that we kind of discussed before we started. So basically, with your lifestyle, if you just wanted to give me a brief understanding of what you do in general as a person, like what's your kind of your job and what your company and things like that.
Great. So my name, you said, is Linda Berlot. I am Italian. I have been living here in the Middle East since 2004, so a good portion of my time. I've lived in many, many different countries, and so I'm fascinated by cultures. So the company that I run works with multicultural teams and C-suite leadership teams, and we usually coach these teams around things like conflict or communication or misalignment or any issues that arise in multicultural teams.
So in terms of like your job, what would you say that, well, not job, your company, what would you say is like the biggest factors of, like, if you had to describe to someone who's never came into your industry, what would they say that would be easy for them to kind of get a good gist of it as quick as possible?
That's a great question, because instead of explaining what we do, generally if I'm sitting next to somebody in an airplane and they ask me what I do, I just ask them questions. I say to them, do you work in a team? They say yes, and I say, is there ever any conflict in your team, or do people misunderstand each other around communication, or do you kind of not align? Are there silos? Do you all kind of work on your own? And most people say yes.
Yeah.
And I just say, well, we help teams like that to create more and better, stronger relationships between the team members so that they can achieve their goals.
What companies would come to you? So let's say I give an example. Say there's a company, one's Coca-Cola, one's a carpet company, one's a construction company. Why would these companies need you?
Because if their teams don't get along, they don't achieve their goals.
Right.
So
the reason I asked that question is it's more simplistic for someone to be like, why would we need this? Because sometimes people don't know they need it until you tell them, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I went to see someone about psychology or something, I'd probably be really helpful. I think it would help 100% of the world. But my point is like, until someone tells you these things or sits you down and says, no, you need to work on this, you need to do that, then it's really hard. So the reason I asked that question is for you to be like, it gives a bit of an example for someone.
Absolutely. Well, so our clients are across sectors, so we don't need to know your business in order to be able to help you. In fact, it's helpful when we don't, because we're an impartial outside factor that can help you. But yes, there's so much evidence that shows that if we feel good about each other when we're working as a team, if we work collaboratively, we will be that much more productive. If we don't, we won't be high performing.
What do you see if you had, let's say, your latest company? You don't have to say the name of them or anything if there's a privacy thing, but if you just tell us like the company kind of what they looked for and what kind of outcome they seen, and how do you measure it?
So their return on their investment.
Yeah.
So they will come to me, either they come to me because they're a brand new team and they want to figure out how to work together, or they come because there's an issue. Most of the time teams come because they're not performing and they can feel that they're not getting along. So I get called in. Usually I work with a team on a journey, maybe 6-9 months. And outcomes can be, we start our meetings on time, we finish on time. We raise issues, we give each other feedback, which we couldn't before. We're able to take feedback. We don't communicate in offensive ways. We find a way that's good for the team. And every team is different, right? I worked with a bank once, and they put a dirham value to the work that we did because it was the leadership team, and then they measure it internally, and they raised their profit by 10%.
Yeah.
Just because they as a team work closer
I had the same thing when I did another company. What was it? DIP. I don't know. I was working with a company a while ago. I was working in Smart Fitness in an old gym, and I got a corporate there, and I went over and we done it was just me actually. I did boxing, I did some running. We were out in the heat. People were like dying all the time, man. Like they just kept being sick. And what they found is the measurable result really was the attendance of sick leave. Again, it's something I'm like, I could go on a spiral of like chat here about how a lot of people look at the wrong thing when they're trying to better their performance as a team. And obviously you look at the psychological aspect, and obviously, as and you train with me. I don't know if I've said that. You train with me, so you obviously understand the importance of health and your efficiency with your job, because as soon as you finish something, it's 8:30 in the morning, you're done, right? You've got the rest of the day, you feel you've achieved something, you're feeling good. So when you go to work, you're working at a much higher efficiency rate. Also, even on your rest days, if you don't do that, that I'm feeling good, I'm feeling healthy, I'm resting today, it's important for me to rest, and that just really puts you on the right path going forward. So I know the importance of health before that, but a lot of people don't. So a lot of companies, when you go to them with an external thing, like say what you do, or even I do, which could actually work hand in hand, it doesn't really work they don't think of it in a way that this is going to be beneficial. They think of it as wasted money. When it seemed like, oh, you're just selling me on something, like, but actually, I even used to, back in the day, even when I first started, used to be like, okay, maybe I'm selling a little bit, but then I realized that actually, okay, there's a point of sales to everything, but it's not just about sales, right? It's also about the ROI of something, and they don't realize and fully understanding that the return on investment's massive. They're going to see a huge difference between the efficiency of their staff. They're not going to be getting to 2:00 in the afternoon and being exhausted,
Absolutely. Honestly, I can't underline what you're saying enough. In my team, we have a value around healthy body, healthy mind, and we train as a team. Like on a Monday night, we all go to spinning class, and all of us are fit, because in times of challenge, like during COVID and things like that, you need every single resource that you can. And it's not just about sitting at your desk. It's really about, where do I find within me the resources to continue when I'm stressed? And if somebody, in my opinion, and I know that it's slightly controversial, I know you agree, but others might not, I won't hire somebody who's not fit. Because in my opinion, how can you be unhealthy in your lifestyle and be hungry and switched on and alert at work? I don't think the two can go hand in hand.
With your work, I know you're the face of the company. Do your other staff, do you see, if a company comes to you, will their staff know? Will they know? Like, will they, the company that comes to, say Coca-Cola come to you, for example, will they know your staff? Will they see your staff?
Yes. Yes.
So as I said, so your thought is that you need to have people fit and healthy, because obviously if they're preaching, lifestyle and health and stuff like that, then it's difficult.
It is. So there is some of that, but honestly, it's, even from as a leader of a team, it's a selfish thing. But I want the people who work for me to enjoy what they're doing, to feel sharp and energized and be passionate. And hungry at work. I want us to have fun together in that way. And none of us can do that if we're not feeling our best, if we're not exercising, eating well, sleeping enough, or taking care of ourselves.
I completely agree. Can you put that on? It's too loud. Just turn off. No, absolutely. And that's why I was saying to you, like, it's just, for me, having like it doesn't matter what it is, right? So it's like, obviously, I'm always, with this podcast, I'm always going to relate it back to health, right? I just think it's the foundation of everything. And I've realised that when you have that foundation, that everything works better. And it's just, and I don't have to be obsessed with health, but I do think that as you get older, it doesn't matter if you're 10 to go to 15 to 20, once you get over to the age of 25, I think you should go on an aspect of, you should have achieved all the things through, unhealthy things when you're a bit younger, because your body can adapt to those things and, you can kind of live with it. But then when you start getting older, you start seeing the real effects of overuse of alcohol, overuse of drugs, overuse of, bad food, not inactivity. And for people that will normally be like, right, okay, my goal here is to be as efficient as possible. My goal is, and I know as most people, their goal is, 95% of people's goal is to make more money. Most likely, the bottom line is they want to make more money. And I'm like, there's no way you could be, if you're a really smart dude, you could be working at a higher capacity if you were working if you were healthier. And you only spend 1 hour in the morning, you took a walk at 2:00 in the afternoon, got some sun on your skin. Because I know quite a lot of people that they think I'm a preacher, right? They think I'm just saying that. But like, or someone have like a sore shoulder, sore hip, they'll be tired all the time, and I'll be like, here, that's not normal. You've normalized that because you're beside also other people.
And they don't know any better.
They don't know any better, right? So they're like, well, I'm just like, I feel this is okay. And you could say the same about me, right? I could be like, I feel great. But there might be someone might come to me in 2 years' time and be like, you know what, you could feel better than that. But I'm pretty open to that suggestion. I'm open to be like, okay, they'll tell me how and I'll apply it, I'll be practical. Whereas a lot of people are cut off through ego. Again, you know, my understanding of this is just through life experience, and I always talk to you, and sometimes I'm like, I'm not the best at debating, I'm not the best at giving you like hard evidence. I just, you know, watch things and I'm like, how does this work? That I can see over time there's a pattern. There's a pattern which evolves, which is like injuries, you know, exhausted, short of temper, these kind of things when people just don't look after themselves. I'm like, there's no way you're going into a business and doing an effective day's work. So I'm like, why don't you just fix this all, have a balance, go out once a month, have a great party, but then for the other 30 days of the 31 days of the month, you just eat well, sleep well, work hard, and, you know, make a ton of money, and then have a really good celebration at the end of every month. That just, for me, that just makes way more sense. You have the best of both worlds. You can have this enriched life of, you know, wealth and happiness and, you know, like great food and good relationships and a party, as opposed to just like having mediocre nights in the pub, talking about the same thing. And sometimes, again, if I was talking to my brother, sorry, I'm going on a rant here, right? But if I was talking to my brother, he's sometimes like quite philosophical, and he would be like, well, what's the right? There's no right and there's no wrong to each person's life. But I do believe there is a fundamental of health in there, which will then, you know, help other aspects. That makes sense.
I do agree with that, and nobody is saying black and white. One has to live black and white. You know, I think you know that 10 years ago I had breast cancer, and before that my mum had breast cancer and my sister too. And so I was very extreme about my fitness, about the things that I ate. I was super clean, you know, what went in. And I mean, obviously it was genetic, I got it anyway. And so no one is saying that that's how one must live. Now I've learned I want to be healthy, I want to be fit, because it gives me the stamina and the energy and the excitement to wake up and face another day. You know, nobody's saying I shouldn't have a drink on the weekend or, you know, go out and have fun, whatever that is. There should be balance.
To complement each other.
And everything in moderation. Right, rather than abstinence or...
But then, and I agree with that, but also on top of that, I would say that you can actually have... let's say, for example, a party, right? You could have the best party. You could go crazy one night a month, right? And you'd have the craziest time, like a Las Vegas type party every month. And if you did 30 days of just like no drinking, no nothing, eat well, train hard, you'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
You'll feel really good. So I'm not saying to people, here, stop going out and stop partying. I'm not being like that. I know having a party is awesome. It's amazing. You can have such good times. But for me, it's the pub culture. I'm like, I just don't understand it. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, why in a pub drinking? Why don't you go and have the same conversation over a game of sport or something more childlike, which are fun and energetic, you know, grow as a person, and then go and have a sick party, suited and booted, go down to the casino, have a crazy night, do what the hell you want. I
mean, you're speaking to the converted. For me, alcohol and those kind of things, I don't even think about it. If I'm out and it's around, I will... But normally it's not part of my life. 6 months could go by without me thinking about having a glass of anything. It's just because I don't need it. I think I can have just as much of a time without it. You know, it's...
No, it's good. It's good. So I'll move on to the next kind of focus. Where you so this was more business focused about your business, because I know we got a little bit off track, but again, it was relative to what we were saying. It's kind of just to kind of go back on what we were saying, what we were talking about there about the health. Was that with your business, you know, you're trying to help people, you know, better relationships, be more efficient in work. And with that being said, if you are, you know, have those things with whatever you provide to those companies, you'll find your business grow massively. And if you implement things that we've spoken about just in the last, say, 10, 15 minutes, then a business will flourish substantially more. And I don't even think that's subjective. I think that's pretty objective. Absolutely. At the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, many of my CEOs some of them are Ironmen, you know, they go from one Ironman to the other. Some are pretty extreme, and I can see they lead their organizations in a very particular way, and they get results. They're very successful in who they are. Some of the best conversations I have with my clients are at 7 o'clock in the morning when they're coming out of the gym. I'm about to go into the gym, and Linda, do you have a moment? So I think if I can think of most people that are successful are fit and healthy and have balance in their life.
And you could also, if just to be, you know, devil's advocate here, you could say that, you know, I know a ton of people who are successful that are super overweight and super unhealthy, but then it's how you perceive success, right? Yeah. So it's like you could be success. When we say successful, what I mean, we're relating that to finance at the end of the day, right? But true success is really to be able to be happy, healthy, with friends, family, and, you know, and wealth. It's everything, because a lot of people will go down the wrong route of either just being super wealthy or focusing on work and then being super unhealthy. And then, or someone might be, you know, or someone could be super healthy and really unsuccessful with their work and what they dream to be. And again, that doesn't have to relate to money, right? It's independent, right? If you want to live in the forest and be the healthiest person in the world, then that's success to you as a person. I'm just discussing in an aspect of, I want to be as healthy as possible, and I have my personal goals, and I feel you're quite linked. You like business. You just, for some reason, you like it. And some people maybe don't. And if we have the fundamental factor of health and we have that aspect of business and we succeed on both, and that's true success.
I think so. And on top of that, I mean, I'm a little older than you are. You know, as we age, your body changes. You want to be able to be as fit and flexible and mobile as you can for longer, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, even me though, right? Regardless of where we're at age difference from both of us, even compared to when I was 21, I didn't care about stretching. I didn't care about stuff. Then I realised the importance of it. So,
exactly. So you don't want to be seizing up because you're getting older.
No.
I want to drop dead and be dead.
No, you're right.
But I had a great life, and I was able to do everything. This afternoon we're going roller skating. I want to do everything that I want to. I don't want my age or my body's condition to limit me from
I know 21-year-olds.
Life.
I know 21-year-olds who are in a mess, and I know, you know, 60-year-olds who are not. You know, I mean, you can look at tons of these celebrities, you know, like some of them even take it to the point where they're getting stem cells, they're getting all these things, and I don't see why that's an issue. I mean, if you're really trying to live the best possible life you can, then go for it. But as I said, you can see clearly what a lot of people will trade at an older age isn't, you know, they would trade a lot of that money they've got for like the longevity and the quality of life, because you can see it within their actions, right? It's the actions that are making that are the actual thing that we should be looking at, not how they drive fast cars and stuff like that. You can look at them, their true self, and think, what are you doing? You're doing stem cells, you're going to the gym, you're doing a lot of anti-aging things, you know what I mean? You're doing cryotherapies, and you're like, oh, you can see where they're putting all their money. So that should give you a little bit of an insight to what you should be thinking about now. So,
do you know, that's so true. I had the privilege of, you know, being at my mum's bedside when she died, and she died with a lot of remorse and a lot of, I guess and it was such a good lesson to think about, if this is not how I want to die, you know, how do I want to live? So if that's the end, what do I need to do now to make sure that my end is different? And that's an important question to be thinking about, I think.
No, you're right, and it can be down to a little bit of regret. I think with what you're saying, there's a regret aspect, and you know, and I've heard a few people say this before, like, you live your life in a way that you have no regrets, and sometimes people just say that sentence but don't really think about it. But like, it's when you have regrets, it's like, well, what do you actually truly want? And it's like me, right? For example, I could be sitting in front of this camera, right? You would think, oh, you're all right at this, you don't feel uncomfortable. To be honest, no, I don't really feel uncomfortable, but I'm not great at it, right? And I'm not great at doing podcasts, I'm not great at doing videography. But you know what, like, the confidence isn't the lacking aspect to me. Some people it is, but for me it's just the skill factor, so it's the application of something. So for me, I'm just going to, I'll do that over a period of time, because I know for a fact, if I was 90 years old and I look back and went, you know, I could have done that videography, I could have done that, and it was just the application of it was the issue.
Yeah.
That's frustrating, right? Because it's like when people get older and they're like, oh, I had this skill. I don't want to be the dude. I don't want to be that old dude that says like, oh, you know, I wish, I used to be, I could have done this, I could have done that, I used to be, like, the worst thing in personal training is when someone comes to me and they say, oh, I used to be fit. I'm like, let's say Barry comes up to me, I'm like, hi Barry, how are you? What do you do? Like, oh, I used to be fit. I'm like, you're 33 years old, why are you still talking about the time you were 17 years old and you were fit? Forget about it. Like, talk about it, embrace it, enjoy it, but at the same time, don't pretend that you're saying that same guy, because your actions are not. So you're not that same person. The only reason a lot of these people were able to stay healthy at a young age was because of school. Yeah. You were forced to do basketball. You were forced to do these things. You ran about with your friends. Yeah. So your actual habits were not there. And when you left school and you left that format, it took you in the wrong direction. And whereas if you can keep that after school, then that's probably true good habits. Whereas like a lot of people don't have that, right? So, but
well, I want to be, you know, when I'm 90, rocking on my rocking chair and sucking on my gums, I want to just be like, I can't believe I did that in my life, rather than regret.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, that's the aspect. And sometimes you don't know really you don't know like if that's the right thing to do. You don't know if that's what you truly want. Sometimes you have to try stuff. Like we could sit here and say, I really want to do this, I really want to do that, but then you're lying in your bed at night and you're like, I don't know if I do want to do that. I just said it because I felt good, there was a certain song on, or there's a lot of factors, right? So sometimes it takes time to do. Like, I know for me, I quite like speaking. I think it's quite fun, it's quite cool, and I like opening it up to different aspects of myself, and where I'm like talking, like and just learning different skills through talking, because I think it's something I like, and it's fun. So like if you do that and apply it, then you can see where it goes. So